All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Keith Thurman says that Errol Spence Jr. has a far better work rate than Terrence Crawford, and he believes that Errol Spence Jr. will defeat Terrence Crawford. And also, Keith Thurman says he might have to fight Jaron Ennis to put himself in position for one of those world titles, the either a winner of Terrence Crawford or Errol Spence Jr., who decides to vacate the belts and go up to 54. I'm going to break it down for y'all. Let's talk about it in this video. King Jr. got another video for y'all. Please sure that you like and subscribe to the channel, and also share the video to get all your latest boxing news. With that being said, Keith Thurman was recently in some interviews. Usually he be on Fight Hype, like always. And Keith Thurman says that he has to, well, first of all, I'm going to say this. I'm backtracking myself. Keith Thurman says that Errol Spence Jr., they was talking about Errol Spence Jr., and Keith Thurman says that Errol Spence Jr., I'm just going to emphasize some of the stuff he said. He says that he feels like Errol Spence Jr. puts in the hard work. He has a crazy work rate, and he's always in the gym. Terrence Crawford's always in the gym as well. But Errol Spence Jr., he broke it down stylistically that Errol Spence Jr. is too big and too strong for Terrence Crawford. He believes that Errol Spence Jr. is going to break down Terrence Crawford. He's going to make his way on the inside, and Terrence Crawford is simply not, for the fact, is not going to be able to make adjustments to what Errol Spence Jr. might do to him on the inside, and who knows how Terrence Crawford is going to react to those punches. So Keith Thurman had says that he favors Errol Spence Jr. to win because Errol Spence Jr. put in more of a better work rate than Terrence Crawford. Now, a lot of people told me that Terrence Crawford this, Terrence Crawford that. Cool. Ride with Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford got all the skills. Prove me wrong that Terrence Crawford is the best welterweight in the world. And also, Keith Thurman pointed this out as well, like everybody been saying. I broke it down yesterday in my video. If you haven't checked it out, go check out my video that I broke down yesterday about Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford is not effective in the southpaw stance or orthodox stance. Even professional coach and trainer Bozy Ennis, the father of Jaron Ennis, also says that Terrence Crawford is not a switch hitter. So when the coaches and fighters are looking at this, and Keith Thurman said this as well, look, Terrence Crawford is less effective, and I don't think that's going to do nothing for Errol Spence Jr. And it's going to be a long night for Terrence Crawford if he doesn't make the adjustment or get back into that groove to mix up the combinations in orthodox to southpaw. So everybody been saying this, and Keith Thurman, if you guys haven't go check it out, just go check it out. Keith Thurman, he broke it down and stuff like that. Usually it don't be on Fight Hype and stuff like that. Keith Thurman is all over the internet, so you guys go check out. He's got numerous videos on. I believe he's got a couple videos on why he believes that Terrence Crawford might not be able to obtain and beat Errol Spence Jr. So with that being said, I believe what Keith Thurman also says that he might have to fight Jaron Ennis. Well, first of all, y'all guys know that Keith Thurman, it's kind of funny because Keith Thurman wants no parts of Jaron Ennis. Now, we heard Keith Thurman a long time ago says that Jaron Ennis, he didn't even know who that boy was. And Keith Thurman, you know daggone well you knew who Jaron Ennis was. You saw the stylistically matchup, and you know he didn't want no parts of Jaron Ennis. But if Keith Thurman is serious about fighting Jaron Ennis next, he knows that he's not going to be able to get a chance to fight Errol Spence Jr. or Terrence Crawford because this fight has built up so big now. They have no choice but to fight each other at this point. And Keith Thurman would be back in the mix majorly. He'll be making a big statement. We know that he's probably going to stay at the welterweight division and finish out his career at welterweight. We know he's not going to go up to 54 and stuff like that. And Keith Thurman, I hope you're serious about fighting Jaron Ennis because Jaron Ennis is looking for all the smoke. He seems to be not having the dance partner that wants to fight with him and stuff like that. And it's just a shame. at the end of the day. And I just don't understand why nobody wants to fight the young phenom, the young rising superstar boxer in Jaron Ennis. It makes absolutely no sense. But if Keith Thurman says if he's willing to give him a shot, I'm rooting for Keith Thurman to make that fight happen. Like Keith Thurman said, I made a video a couple months ago that Keith Thurman says that he's not gonna avoid Jaron Ennis like Floyd Mayweather avoid him. It didn't make no sense on why he said that, but I hope that Jaron Ennis gets the big fights. I really do. This kid is something special, and Jaron Ennis is top 3 in all the major sanctioned bodies. And Jaron Ennis, when he takes over the welterweight division, I truly believe he will be undisputed. I don't think Virgil Ortiz have nothing for him. I don't think Butiev have nothing for him. I think Stanionis might give him a good fight, but I still don't think Stanionis is not going to be enough to beat Jaron Ennis, because coming straight forward and throwing heavy punches, yeah, it might work for a little bit, but I give this. Stanionis does have grit. He showed me in that Butiev fight how to fight and how to beat the games of a dirty fighter and Butiev and stuff like that. But when you're dealing with a skilled fighter that is very talented, that has a lot of skills and show his talents off to the crowd, it's going to be a very long night for Stanionis. So I hope Jaron Ennis get the big fights. I hope Keith Thurman is a man of his word. Usually he lies 9 out of 10. But hopefully we can see Keith Thurman versus Jaron Ennis soon if Jaron Ennis is successful on May 14th against Custio Clayton, being the co-main event for, I believe, Jermell Charlo and Brian Castano for Undisputed 2. So hopefully we get to see these big fights. But Keith Thurman says, guys, that Errol Spence Jr. has a far better work rate than Terrence Crawford. And Terrence Crawford might not win this fight if he doesn't take it seriously, if he doesn't train hard as Errol Spence, or wherever the case may be. Bomac always says, we got a game plan. We got a game plan. Well, I hope you got one hell of a good game plan to beat Errol Spence Jr., because y'all been talking all this trash. You got Terrence Crawford out here saying yesterday, when I'm done with Errol Spence, I'm going to knock these both cheerleaders out, Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford. Not Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford. Errol Spence Jr. and Jermell Charlo. Well, first of all, Terrence Crawford, you're too small for 154 in my opinion. If we want to be real, he's too small for 154, because you got guys like Tony Harrison, Sebastian Fondura, Brian Castano. Even though he's a small guy, I think Brian Castano will beat Terrence Crawford. I'm not going to tell you why, but I think he will, because I don't think Terrence Crawford can take pressure well. I really don't think that he can take pressure well, because when Egis Kavaliauskas was applying the pressure with Terrence Crawford, Egis Kavaliauskas is a B+ fighter, and he was putting the hands on Terrence Crawford, and he dropped Terrence Crawford. So I don't think Terrence Crawford go up to 154 and beat Jermell Charlo, I give him all the props in the world. I just think that Jermell Charlo is too big, too strong, and I think he has a lot of skill as well. I think he has a high ring IQ. And Jermell Charlo is a fast-paced fighter. He's not going to wait for you to compute data. Terrence Crawford's the type of fighter that starts out slow in the first 3 to 4 rounds. We see that in the Kell Brook fight, that he started out very slow, and I just don't think that 154 would be a smart move. Now, if you feel like you go up to 154 and beat some of these guys, I think he could be a couple people, but it's not going to be easy. You know, it might be by a split decision or whatever, not because I don't think Terrence Crawford power is going to accumulate, and I don't think that his stamina is going to do well at 54. Now, Errol Spence Jr., he works at Derek James says, I'm confusing myself, guys. Derek James says that Errol Spence Jr. could go all the way up to 160, because Errol Spence Jr. he's a different type of breed of fighter, and he can do it because Errol Spence Jr. puts in the hard workload. I'm not saying that Terrence Crawford doesn't put in the work. Terrence Crawford stay in the gym, but can Terrence Crawford adjust to the weight of 154? Because it looks like Terrence Crawford, you know, when he came up to 47, he started to lose a lot of abilities that he had. So whatever the case may be, with that being said, guys, I'm not going to keep this video too long. Keith Thurman says that Errol Spence Jr. has a far better work rate than Terrence Crawford, and he believes that Errol Spence Jr. might potentially beat Terrence Crawford at his own game. With that being said, guys, it is what it is. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. This is your boy King Jr. I'm out of here. Peace.